We have global
warming,
which we could
which we
also
also
refer to as climate change. So scientists have been making note of the fact that the average temperature around the globe,
the average
temperature
on Earth
seems to be rising. In the last 20 or 30 years, it's gotten a lot worse.
It's gotten a lot
And global warming
has a lot of
bad effects on the planet. It changes weather patterns.
The weather patterns. It causes
things like icebergs to melt. So global warming is a problem that needs to be dealt with. And climate change is probably a newer term for it because it's not only the planet getting warmer, but there are other things that are happening to the weather and to the climate. There are more heavy rainstorms. There are more extreme weather. I'll talk a bit more about that later. But we do use the term global warming and the term climate change almost interchangeably when we're talking about how the environment is changing. Okay? So you'll notice people will go to a summit, and the summit will be about climate change. That's a term we will see in the news sometimes, from time to time. Okay, one of the reasons why there is pollution is because we burn fossil fuels. So fossil fuels are fuel that's created deep in the earth. Oil is probably the best example of fossil fuel. We drill for oil. We take out the ground. We refine oil into things like gas or diesel. If you're learning British English, it would be petrol. But fossil fuels, when you burn them, they make heat and they create emissions. So fossil fuels, once turned into gas or diesel fuels, we burn them in your cars and trucks in order to drive around. And in doing so, we create pollution which has effect on the environment. It's probably one of the biggest things that human beings do in terms of affecting the environment. So greenhouse gases are gases that we release into the atmosphere that are bad for the environment. Greenhouse gases, I don't know all of them, but carbon dioxide is one of the gases. I think methane and nitrous oxide, maybe even ozone. I think carbon dioxide is the biggest greenhouse gas. And what greenhouse gases do is they let the sunlight through, but they reflect heat or infrared heat back to the earth. I think I'm not a scientist, so don't quote me on this. But the greenhouse gases form a blanket in the sky around the earth that helps keep the earth warm. The problem is, as we put more greenhouse gas into the atmosphere, we're starting to keep our planet too warm. The blanket's getting a little too big because of pollution. So again, some pretty big words in there. Greenhouse gases come from cars and factories. And they are gases like carbon dioxide and methane. Those are too big, I think. I'm having trouble remembering my science class when I was a kid. The ozone layer is a little bit different because the layer was called ozone, and it actually stops certain ultraviolet light to get into the planet. It's a little different than the greenhouse gases. But those two things together make up our atmosphere. The atmosphere on the air around the Earth. And in order for humans to survive on this planet, the atmosphere needs to stay relatively the same. Certain nitrogen and oxygen and carbon dioxide. And if we mess it up through pollution, it could have dangerous effect on all of us. Hazardous waste. So we have toxic waste. We have hazardous waste. We have industrial waste. This is any kind of waste that's produced by a factory or in manufacture. Okay? So that's a big difference. Let's see. American English for this guy. In Maine, most bottles and cans can be redeemed for 5 cents. Very cool. Milk jugs cannot be returned for any money. That's why we put it in bags. In Canada. Recycled bag. Anyways, let me get back. There are many kinds of waste produced by factories. So again, hazardous waste, industrial waste, toxic waste. We even have nuclear waste from nuclear power plants, and all of this needs to be disposed of
properly.
If you just dump hazardous waste into a river or lake or stream, or just on the ground, it's bad for the environment.
So
that's one of the things that most countries are trying to get under control to reduce the amount of hazardous waste and other type of waste into the environment.
We also have household waste.
We also have household waste. Let me zoom in this down.
Household waste is anything generated
by people
in their homes. Okay.
In our house,
because I have
yes, I'm married.
Yes, I'm married.
Jen and I have
5 children.
Only four
at home right now. One's at university. But we generated quite a bit of household waste.
We try not to. We try to reduce as little household waste as possible. But household waste is also bad for the environment. If it's disposed of improperly.
It would also just
be
called garbage or trash, but the formal term would be household waste.
Here's some effects that humans have on the environment. These are some of the things. I'm just going to talk a little bit about how pollution and emissions affect the environment around us. One of the things that it does is create endangered species, or it creates a situation where certain animals and sometimes some plants are endangered and becoming extinct. We'll talk about extinct later. Is it a bobolink?
It's a type of bird
in
Ontario, Canada.
And it is an endangered
species.
There are not a lot of bobolink
We have been
destroying
its natural habitat.
We have been creating cities and farms,
and we have been destroying
where
bobolink.
I picked the
bobolink because
one, it's an
endangered species. Also start to
bobbling. So it's not extinct. There are still bobolink birds in Ontario, but it's on the endangered species list because there's a danger that it might become extinct. This is the eastern elk. The eastern elk is extinct in North America. It was a type of animal that was common. But
because humans came and destroyed the environment where these elks live,
they no longer
exist.
We probably also hunted them
a long time ago,
and I'm sure that has enormous effect as well. But when you have an endangered species, it means that it's in danger of going extinct. It might go extinct. And if an animal or plant is extinct, it just doesn't exist on our planet anymore.
It's kind of sad.
When I was researching this lesson, I was sad to see how many species were extinct in Canada. It was a lot.
I think it was in the hundreds,
a few hundred species,
like 200 or 300.
Don't quote me on that. Again, I'm not a scientist. We have enormous effect on the environment, and sometimes it has serious effects where animals was extinct. The other thing, climate change and global warming and being destructive in the world in terms of the environment creates natural disasters. So there's more droughts, there's more flooding, there's more extreme weather, there's more things happening in the world because we're not taking care of our planet. And we would say that those are natural disasters. Things like tsunamis, hurricanes and cyclones, tornadoes, and I mentioned flooding. Volcanoes less so. I'm not sure what caused volcanoes, but that would be another type of natural disasters. So extreme weather. Extreme weather would mean if you normally get a storm that's really bad, but now you're starting to get storms that's even worse. We call that extreme weather. If you have high winds of 80 to 90 kilometers an hour, maybe you have a storm. Now the winds are 110 kilometers now. That would be extreme weather. We are definitely experiencing extreme weather here in Canada. We have more summer days over 30 degrees Celsius last year than we have had in many decades. Extreme heat can also be extreme weather. We have something
we
in
also
English called
the carbon footprint.
The carbon footprint is a newer term in the last 5 or 10 years,
at least for me.
And it basically is how much effect you personally have on the environment. So for me to live for a year requires a certain amount of gas, a certain amount of food, a certain amount of clothing. All of those things create greenhouse gases when they're being manufactured or consumed. So I'm using a lot of big words here. Your carbon footprint simply refers to how much greenhouse gases you personally have created in order to live. If you fly on a private jet every week, you create a lot of greenhouse gas, and your carbon footprint is enormous. If you live in a small apartment and you eat really healthy food and you ride a bike everywhere and don't drive the car, your carbon footprint is very, very tiny. So we definitely want to think about what our carbon footprint is as we go through our daily lives. When we talk about things that are good for the environment, we say that they are earth-friendly or they're environmentally friendly. We do certain things because they're good for the environment. As much as we just talk about many things that are bad for the environment, there are more and more things that every year that humans are doing that are good for the environment.